Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Procurement, the only show you need to master the art of procurement. Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. And today,
brain cells.
we are in the studio. Not the virtual one, the physical one. The audio is going to be shit. The tea that Luke 10 is drinking is shit. But we are here, and we're all for it.
Saw my face after having a sip.
Right, well, welcome back, Luke 10. It's good to see you in the flesh.
I'm Luke 10, having multiple sips of my tea.
Hey, I see. So I disturbed you while you were having a sip. Yeah.
I got told the other day that by a listener that I should have called myself, instead of Luke 10, I should have called myself Luke 2.0 because I'm the better version of you, the upgraded, newer model.
So I actually really like that, but you need to earn it. I'm Luke 1, original OG with sips, full procurement wanker, right? And you need to outwank me. You know, you need to become the. You need to become the.
I'm like,
maybe not that, but you need to become the. You need to become the master. I need to hand over my tools, and you've succeeded. But you need to earn that right.
So you're like the iPhone 3. You're the original. Got fond memories of you, but basically useless.
I mean, I come with headphones and a charger, so not completely useless.
Yeah, back in the day where companies were proper and they like to hide when they ripped you off. Nowadays, they rip you off. They don't even care if you know.
No, they just let you know they're ripping you off, and you still accept it.
Yeah.
Quick question: why is your mouse on the windowsill?
Not mine.
Okay, we just got an unannounced mouse in the corner on the studio.
Do you reckon it's PSN trying to listen into what we're saying?
100%. Those bastards. Incidentally, if you haven't checked them out, do give them a listen. They're not too bad.
Especially the episode with us in.
That's the best episode.
That's the best one.
I mean, that's the only one we'll send a link to. Let's have a look at the old deal board. Anything on there? I said billboard. Anything on the old news bulletin? Yes, you passed your exam, and obviously people will only know that if they've listened to the prior episode where we've announced it. But congratulations, obviously you've had about 10 minutes to let that settle in. How are you feeling after knowing that you passed? So I mean, spoiler alert for 10 seconds ago for the previous episode, I did pass. Pass mark 51%. Sorry, pass mark 50%. I got 51%. Efficiency.
So, exactly, efficiency. But it's the first one I did. I'm happy that I passed it because obviously I don't have to reset it.
Failing,
but if you'd have said to me right at the start, would you take a 51%? Absolutely, 100% I would have, because it's the first one. You don't know how it's going to go. I feel like now I've got the first one out of the way successfully. That will set me up for procrastination for the next ones, because this is the time where we're in between modules. So we got our result for the last one, but we've already had our classroom days for the previous one. So I was going to wait for the results. That was my excuse. I'm not going to start writing yet because I need to wait for the results of the last one to see if I've done anything wrong.
And now you've got the results.
Now I've got the results. I've got no excuse to procrastinate anymore. So I need to get on with it. But
I mean, if anything,
I'll do it tomorrow.
You probably should have started a few months ago.
When's it? I think it's due in a couple of weeks, to be fair. I probably should get on with that.
At least check it out, yeah. I mean, look, we've got more important things to do, like putting the pod out to the people. So, listeners, we hope you are well. We hope you are sitting somewhere comfortable. Actually, don't really care. But, you could be in a bus stop. It could be pissing down with rain. Could be on the beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Actually, I would be interested to hear from any of the listeners that are kind of on the other side of the world, i.e. not in the UK. Because, like we get some listeners in Kenya. What, are they just sitting on a nice beach or kind of, sunbathing? And
Does Kenya have a beach?
Of course Kenya has a beach. Never heard of Mombasa?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay, no, it's got some nice beaches in Kenya.
Okay.
But yeah,
I thought it was just maybe they're on safari. Maybe listen to this on safari.
if you live in Kenya, you're probably not just going to a safari on the weekend, are you?
Well, you could be a safari driver and have this on in the car.
Oh yeah.
Do we scare off lions?
Oh.
God.
Yeah, that's what it's reduced us to. Yeah, if you are on that side of the world, drop us an email on our email address, which we'll confirm shortly. But yeah, drop us an email. Just let us know what you kind of, what you're doing when you listen to Let's Talk Procurement, because you have to be in a weird mood to listen to procurement related content. And I think if you're living the good life in a desert or somewhere nice and warm and chilling out by a swimming pool,
Or even in America or Canada or something.
yeah,
What's it like?
yeah, tell us about your scenery. We'll read it out to the listeners on a future pod.
Yeah, that's the prize. Whoever sends in the best description of where and how they're listening gets that description read out on the pod, and also gets 5 minutes free unvetted access to League One's credit card.
Okay, yep, deal.
Yeah, only 5 minutes though. So whatever you can buy in 5 minutes, that's all yours.
I'm more than happy with that. I think that's a fair trade. The other part of that is that they need our email address.
Yes, they do. We're just looking at the description, mate. You're lazy.
No, we're not doing that again. How many times have I told you we like our listeners? We're not salespeople.
Yeah, okay, true.
If you are, then we don't like you. But yeah, if you're not a salesperson, you're good.
What if they're selling procurement services?
Just read the fucking email, mate. Come on. That's what everyone comes back for, isn't it? They just want to hear you say that.
So, the email address is 2lukes1sip@gmail.com. That's the number 2, Luke plural, the number 1, CIP@gmail.com.
The other thing I would say as well, we do have socials. I wouldn't follow us on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, because we're basically just a fan page for a particular football club for some unknown reason.
Well, I haven't accessed that account in probably 6 months now.
Yeah.
So
it's dead. But the Instagram is great. There's some
mainly because you
inconsistent content on there.
That.
Yep. So check us out on Instagram. Drop us a DM on Instagram. We've had a few of you slide in. There's some interesting inquiries actually we've had that could be future guests on this very podcast.
Could be you. Could be you.
Right. When I say the word bust, what do you think of?
A statue of Karl Marx.
Why?
A bust is like the top half of someone in a statue form, right? Shoulders and head.
Like a big bust.
Yeah, giant bust. Could be.
Well, we are going to bust together today.
We're going to make a statue.
We're not going to make a statue. We are going to bust a myth, because that is what today's episode is about, boys and girls.
If we can find an uncopyrighted version of the Ghostbusters theme tune, then we'll play it now.
Mythbusters. Does that sound about right?
Human Mythbusters.
I would like to bust all over this myth. Would you?
Let me see it first and hear it first.
Okay, well, you've heard of a myth. Not the guy in IT. This myth. Buying cheap is always the best thing to do. The cheapest option is always the best option.
You're going to bust.
We're going to bust all over that. Are you excited to bust with us? Well, listeners, strap on, strap in, buckle up, and join us for the ride, because we are about to crack this myth. Luke 10.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a question. Obviously, we are in person today, so I get the privilege of seeing your outfit, and I'm going to describe it to the listeners because I think it's only fair to say that you're probably not a cheap guy. We've got a Nike jumper on there. I think it's a swoosh, isn't it? The cheeky swoosh.
Is it Nike or Nike?
Don't give a fuck, to be fair.
Fair.
Tick brand. Got a nice little watch there. Is that a? What is that? Is that a Temu watch? What is that?
It's a Garmin watch, but I don't. It doesn't have all the features, and I'm using the hairband to tie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Part of it up.
So it's a tech watch that is broken and
is very old.
Tying it together with a hairband.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got some Asics.
Don't know. Carrymore, I think.
Oh yeah.
It says Carrymore.
Yeah. We've got some Puma socks. And then we've got some tights. I don't know what they are.
Jeans, mate.
Jeans. All right. Yeah.
They're not even that. They're not actually that tight, because just my legs are just so voluptuous.
What I would say is you probably don't buy the cheapest stuff, do you?
I would say I probably do.
Would you?
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I don't buy the cheapest stuff, but what I do buy, I hang on to it for a while.
Until it's in tatters.
Like my previous jeans that basically like half my leg was out and
oh yeah, was that not
half my arse was out.
Were they not ripped when you bought them?
No.
Incredible. So a lot of people, when they complain about procurement, will say, oh, procurement just come in, buy the cheapest shit, back themselves a little saving, and then sod off.
Yeah. Great. Sounds like a great day's work.
Yeah, to be fair, if I'm getting a saving, I don't really care. But I would argue differently. I would argue that sometimes the cheapest option isn't actually the cheapest option.
Yeah. Total contract value, life cycle cost.
Total cost of ownership.
Maybe.
TCO.
Yeah.
Obviously, assets will depreciate over time. If you buy,
unless they are original Luke 10 odd worn jeans, in which case they only go up in value.
Oh, I don't know about that.
The more they're worn.
Your own sentimental value, maybe. Yeah, so you've got your depreciation on your total cost of ownership. It's obviously depreciation is a big part of that, and I think it's often perceived that procurement aren't interested in the full life cycle costs. We're just looking at the upfront cost or the initial outlay, and I think to some extent maybe that's true in the past.
Yeah, the example that I've always heard for something like this has been a printer.
Oh, love it.
As a famous rapper said, I'm going to put a certain amount of gal in a printer.
They won't fit in one.
So anyway, the point of them saying that, not the rapper, the printer analogy,
yeah,
was basically that often what printer manufacturers do to try and draw you in is have quite a low initial purchase price of the specific printer device. However, to use the printer, you need ink, you need maintenance, you need security guard to stand next to it.
Yeah.
And it's like a cash machine. Like when you're trying to print something, you need them to stand behind you and fight off any people coming to mug your printing. So those extra,
costs of use
will often be set as quite a lot higher.
So a cheaper printer might use more ink.
Yeah. Or the ink that you need to purchase might be more expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas if you bought a more expensive printer, that can use a cheaper version of ink.
Was more efficient.
Yeah. You can just directly get a squid, squeeze it, and the ink will go straight in onto your paper.
How do you squeeze a squid?
You saw sharply.
Do you? I don't know about Squid Game 2, but it sounds a bit sketch.
I don't know, I was just trying to come up with S words.
Fair enough. So Central HP, was he the rapper? Central HP?
Don't know. You're somehow, even though you're older, you're more of a rap fan than I am.
Oh, really?
I think so. I mean, you have got that teardrop tattoo on your face, which kind of
yeah, but I'm not a rapper.
Gets you accepted by the rappers.
It's just part of my prison history, isn't it? So I did a bit of research before this epi, and we're looking at things that people in their everyday life may buy cheap. And I would like you to tell me why it's a bad idea to buy these too cheaply.
Is one of them going to be condoms?
No, but that's a great shout. I could add that to the list. Number 1, shoes. Why is it bad to buy shoes on the cheap?
Couple of reasons that I can think of. I can only think of one right now, but I've set myself up for saying two. So the first one that came to mind immediately was potential slave labour to make the shoes.
That's the first thing that came to your mind.
The first risk.
Yeah.
Well, is that bad?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, like they say about kind of, well, I don't know if I should say the company name, but some shops which you can buy extremely cheap clothing from.
Something
that rhymes with something that rhymes with Primark.
Oh yeah.
Company P.
Company P. Primani.
They say if some of their products are very cheap, everyone's questions, are they actually made by children, by slaves in a different country?
And is that a bad thing?
Well, yeah, because I want my shoes to have love and care put into them.
But if you don't buy those shoes, those kids won't get paid and put food on their table.
Well, they might find another job that with an employer that's more
better wage and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or, I mean, overcrowding, overpopulation anyway in the world.
Have you heard that famous saying? Underage, no minimum wage. Have you heard that?
No. Considering how that phrase started, I'm almost glad it went that way. But no. I think I should potentially move on to my second point that I haven't thought of yet.
Yeah.
Which is style points. So if I'm coming in for an interview and I've bought cheap shoes, like or what if I'm going into an interview, the employer knows that I've bought cheap shoes and they fall apart while I'm walking.
Finally, now we're getting there. Quality, right?
And style, quality and style.
Yeah.
So you just basically kind of what you need to do is get a group of mates, say 50 of you, and you all chip in some money for some expensive shoes that you're going to wear to an interview.
And then you take
turns
around the boys, yeah.
And what's even easier is if you all apply for the same job, because then you can just change. When they call the next person in, you just take your shoes off, leave them in the interviewer seat. Next person comes in, just puts their feet straight in the shoes. That'd be my solution to the problem.
Well, I was going to go with predominantly quality, because I think if you go to a shop and you spend £10 on a pair of trainers, the chances are that you're going to be buying the same pair of trainers or a new pair of trainers every 6 months through wear and tear. Whereas in the case of spending a couple of £100 on a pair of shoes, that might last you 5-10 years. And you then look at how many times you're buying the item over a course of 5-10 years, you're probably going to end up spending more on the cheaper shoes. And the other side of that is the damage to your body, right?
Well, that's kind of, before you go on to that point, that's a phrase that is more innocent than the one you said. Buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Underage, no minimum wage. Two fantastic sayings. So about shoes and damage to your body, because they're not built for posture, they're not. You're not donning Skechers, are you? Skechers care for your posture. Whereas later down the line, if you've been wearing these cheap ass shoes with a poor sole, you're going to have posture issues, or you're going to have, pain in your back, and then you'll be paying for a chiropractor. I know you're far too young to care about all of this stuff, right? But it will catch up to you, my child.
I do have a back issue. As I was saying to you earlier, I went to the gym yesterday. Did an exercise with such bad form. It was meant to be for my hamstrings. Turned out it was actually working my back because of how bad my form was. So
something's gone completely wrong. So item number 2, I've got 3 items for you here. Item number 2. Bless you. Child's toys.
So what's the question again? Why shouldn't I buy cheap child toys?
Yeah.
Well, obviously quality. I think if for something like that, you've got to think about the health and safety hazards. Personally, I wouldn't be thinking about that because, I think that natural selection needs to start prevailing again in our society.
Wow.
But, it's the law. Health and safety is the law now. Health and Safety Act of a certain year. I'm going to say 2026, they're making a new one. If you come back to this after 2026, then you'll be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
It's a 1974 act, isn't it?
No, they're going to make a new one. After the cheap children's toys produced by Let's Talk Procurement Industries present a massive health and safety risk, they're going to think, shit, we need to rewrite these laws.
Well, you're kind of right there, really. Contamination is obviously a big thing.
Yeah, as in if a previous child with
just
a disease had those toys.
Cheap plastics, you don't know if they're made to a certain standard, if they're, they've been painted in the right sort of paint or the right coating. If they're going to break easy, will they cause damage to a child or even to a parent? How long are they going to last? And to be clear, I would say that just because you're spending more money on something doesn't mean it's going to be a better quality. It's just that you don't want to go too cheap on these things, right?
Yeah.
So if you were a procurement professional and you were doing a tender for 5,000 toys, what would be your criteria?
Well, I think they've got to be fun to play with, right? Otherwise, what's the point of a toy that is boring?
Yeah. How would you make it fun? What would you be looking for? Sort of movement?
I think I would go to a focus group for that.
Okay.
Get a load of babies around the table and discuss a couple of things. I mean, we had this scenario a few weeks ago. Got some great feedback, but it was all like goo goo gaga. So if anyone out there knows how to translate baby language, then get in touch.
So you're a procurement professional who just gathered a load of babies in a room?
Yeah, took them off the street.
Let's always go this way. Okay, so we'll move on from that onto the last item. Try and keep it clean, this one. Item number 3, toilet roll.
Keep it clean. I like it. Yeah. You gotta have toilet roll that keeps it clean.
So why should you never buy the cheapest toilet roll?
Well, I'm thinking of the sandpapering effect.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's one where you've got to consider comfort.
Yeah.
The comfort factor.
So when you say like sandpapering effect, let's say you had a medium-sized bunda, and then you start using this sandpaper. What you're saying is you're just shaving it down to a small. Is that where you're going with that?
Not quite. But arses are valuable things. It's
true, they are, yeah.
There's certain, right, I'll context that. There's certain parts of your body which are important. Arses are important because you sit on them. Feet are important because you stand on them. But I think the most important are your hands, and you can always count on them.
Wow. So I do have a little horror story. Don't know if it's too much for the podcast, but
no, please.
When I was at uni, obviously we wanted to procure the cheapest toilet roll possible because it was a shared house, and it went round each person's turn to buy the toilet roll. So went to a local supermarket and I picked up. Do you know the term ply?
Heard of it.
Yeah. So ply is basically how thick each sheet is, and I went for 1 ply, which is basically the thinnest sheet of paper you can get for toilet roll. So I've now moved on to 3 ply, straight from 1 to 3, and I do not spare expense on it anymore.
Yeah,
highly recommend Cya.
Is that what you learned from your degree? The main thing you learned?
we've kind of gone through their three, I guess, regular household items that you should not buy cheap on. Now, one of the challenges we do have in procurement is obviously our management. How do we go to our managers and tell them
that you accidentally bought one ply toilet roll?
Yeah, tell them that we've now got one ply for the whole organisation. No, how do we tell them that we have done a competition and we are not selecting the cheapest option? Do you think your manager will care?
Probably not. I think when you do a competition, it's important to set out beforehand sort of, maybe this is the public sector in me speaking, but I think it's important to set out your requirements beforehand. So, for example, if you've got something that is important, that suppliers don't just throw the cheapest thing at you, you need to have weighting.
Yeah.
A higher weighting for the quality of a product. So say, for example, you say, we're going to ask them 20 questions, we're going to score those will be weighted at 70%, the cost will be weighted at 30%. And then I think that ensures that you kind of assign the appropriate importance to the quality of what you're procuring.
Yeah, let's go over the 5 wrongs of procurement, right? So we've got price is the number one, the one that everybody remembers. We've then got place, quality, quantity, and time.
Shout out to our 5 wrongs episode.
Absolutely. Link in the description if we remember to do it. So, yeah, you look at the five rights of procurement, and actually price is the one that gets the most focus, but you almost want to set in your mind, you've got a price that you are willing to pay for something, but you are willing to pay on the basis that the quality is acceptable, that the quantity is right, and so forth. So that's when you then start to factor in the length of time that you need something for. So when you're running the competition, how long do you need a service for? How long do you need the printer for? If you need the printer for 6 months, you could probably go, actually, we can get a cheap one, and then at the end of the 6 months, we can send it off to be recycled. But if you need it for 3 years, you're probably going, we don't want the cheapest one. We want one that does, good quality, high contrast color, black and white options, and can print flip-sided pages back and front. And you start to go, well, that then eliminates a load of cheap crap, and it then moves the bar up. So I think you just have to remind yourself that cheapest isn't always the best. And I think it is hard because we're measured as a department on the savings we achieve, i.e. the costs that we eliminate, as opposed to the additional quality we bring in.
Yes, we're measured on the savings that we achieve. We are. However, I don't know, and maybe this is because I'm not in that high level position, I don't know many organisations that say you missed your savings target 1 year. I don't know that they would go, right, pack up the whole operation, you lot are awful, you provide no value. Because I think nowadays, could be wrong, most companies value the protection that procurement provides in other ways in terms of adherence to governance, and also the kind of contract terms that we can
reducing risk,
sure that risk is reduced. So I think it's not, although there is a heavy focus on savings, it's not the only focus.
Okay, so how would you talk to your stakeholders then to say, I am not just about getting the cheapest thing through the door? Because that's obviously a perception that a lot of stakeholders that have been around for a while hold of procurement.
I think I would try and sell to them the benefits or the potential risks that we're cutting out, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if we're doing a bit of supplier due diligence, a bit of supplier assessment, that's the value we can provide in terms of people are quite focused on reputational risk, for example. If we're saying, well, we can check this supplier out and make sure that they have got the capability to deliver, that they're not processing data in a country that is unfriendly to the country that you were in, that could be value. And I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was Jonty. I think it was in the Jonty episode. He said you should try and when you're talking to people about the benefit that you can provide, you should try and tell them why it matters to them.
Yes.
So, for example, a project manager, or maybe that's wrong.
No, project manager's good because he wants his project delivered on time. He or she.
Yeah. They want their project delivered fully.
Their preconception is that you're a prop blocking arsehole, but you're going to come in and say, well, actually, I'm going to help you get through the governance because we'll have done the necessary, supplier assessments, and we'll make sure that you'll hit those milestones because they're going to be in the contract.
Yeah. And you could also say something like, maybe we're delaying it a little bit to make sure we've got the right terms or make sure we've done the right due diligence. But what happens if we start work with the supplier, we sign up to it, we pay all the money up front, 2 weeks later they're nowhere to be seen, or they didn't have any stability in their company in terms of didn't have enough cash flow and had a load of outstanding debts, so they go bankrupt. And now your project's delayed even more because you've got to go and find another supplier and start again at the start from however long you've got into it. So,
And then you'd probably have to rush it through as well, wouldn't you? Your contingency supplier.
Shout out to Jonty, behavioural science in procurement episode.
Yeah, really, I'm glad you learned something actually. That's insightful. When you remember something from months ago, I'm impressed. And that's a big step for you.
Because normally I can't remember things from 5 minutes ago.
Well, no, you were scrolling with traffic a minute ago. I still remember what I said.
Maybe what it is I don't remember what you say.
I wouldn't blame you.
But I remember what Jonty and Nige, medium-sized Nige.
Demoted from Big Nige. What are you saying? He's been doing well recently, has he?
Yeah, he's sticking to his diet.
Unnecessarily calling him Big Nige. Okay, yeah. So look, listeners, if you've got anything where maybe you procured it before and it came in and it was cheap, did you buy all your organisation stationery on Wish? Turned up and it was half the size that it looked in the pictures. Let us know. We'd love to hear those stories. We can read them out in.
That made me think of a thing that's going around. I mean, this might show how dated the episode is. But there's a lot of stuff going around on X at the moment about Gary Barlow's son. Have you seen that?
No. I don't use X, mate.
If you aren't driving or if you're somewhere where you can safely use a phone, to be honest, if you can do it sneakily and it's unsafe, just maybe look it up. Anyway, look up Gary Barlow's son because he's a giant. He's just.
Is he actually?
All the things have been like pictures of Gary Barlow. I don't know. He's got his hand up in the air celebrating something, and it's like Gary Barlow holding his son's hand.
So he's got a big old son, hasn't he?
Yeah, look up Gary Barlow's son. That's my takeaway from this episode.
A lot of child-themed things today.
Well, I think in fairness, he is like in his mid-20s, Gary Barlow's son.
Yeah. Well, if you're taller than Gary Barlow, you'd hope he's not 5. So if you do have any great stories, send them in. Get in touch. You know the email address, it was read out earlier.
Or text us. We have got a text function.
I do love that as well. If you put your name in fact, even if you don't put your name in, we'll put you on our website, so you can have a look on the old website and see your text there and have a little chuckle. Tell your family and friends that you've made it. And we'll see you on the next one, most likely.
Yeah. See you later.
See you later.